Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video. Let me make sure my thumbnail showed up first, because sometimes I forget to use that. But man, I'm excited to talk about this movie. I just watched this last night before I went to bed. It was fucking awesome. This movie was awesome, okay? That's just first and foremost, this movie is awesome. It's like a modern day masterpiece. I love this movie. Now, when I was watching it, there were 50 minutes where I was like, okay, I mean, it's pretty ordinary. It's like an ordinary con job by this poor, desperate family. But once things just start getting complicated, once the plot twists come in, man, this movie is awesome. I've never quite seen a concept of this movie before, and honestly, it's not an ordinary concept. This poor family finessing their way into the Park family's house. Well, let's just get to the plot. I'll explain it all. So the Kim family live in a semi-basement flat in Korea that's called a banjia. I think that's how you say it. In Seoul, I don't know how to say any of these names. They have low-income jobs and struggle for money. They literally live check by check and even under check by check at times. Min Hyuk, a university student, gives the family a scholar's rock meant to promise wealth. Leaving to study abroad, he suggests that the Kim's son, Ki-woo, pose as a university student to take over his job as an English language teacher for Dae, the daughter of the rich Park family. So he gives them this massive opportunity. They're living check by check. They're making pizza boxes, getting paid off of it. And yeah, now Ki-woo's longtime friend, Min Hyuk, comes by and yeah, by the way, if you don't oh shit, that was really bright for a second. If you don't like movies that are in foreign languages, and this is in Korean, so if you don't like that, you shouldn't watch it. But honestly, it didn't bother me one bit that this was in Korean subtitles and in that language, because it almost felt like a book full of dialogue and watching a screenplay go along with it. I actually kind of liked that. It's kind of like the Squid Games, and I liked that show as well. So Korea's got some fine film products, honestly. They do. They really do. Ki-woo, posing as a Yonsei University student, is hired by the Park family. They believe him. They take him in. That's phase one of the plan. The Kim family schemes to get each member a job with the Park family. It's just such an interesting concept. I've never quite seen anything like it. The Kim daughter, Ki-jung, poses as Jessica, and using Ki-woo as a reference, becomes an art therapist to the Park's young son, Da-sung. He's this very troubled, very wild, hyper kid who's obsessed with Indian culture and walks around with a spear and arrows. It's kind of funny, but I don't know. It's kind of fucked up at the same time. Ki-jung frames Yoon, Mr. Park's driver, by making it appear he had a sexual encounter in the car, then recommends her father, Taek, to replace him. So they have all sorts of different schemes, all sorts of different cons that they're pulling throughout the movie, and their goal is to get every single family member to work for this family. It's actually crazy. I don't know who thought of this, and I don't know if this is based on a true story, but it's actually kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of I just love the concept. It wouldn't have even mattered. I mean, and the way the movie was executed, it's masterful. There are some crazy parallel moments. There's good directing. The screenplay's fantastic. I mean, man. The Kims exploit the peach allergy of the Park's longtime housekeeper, Moon Gwang, to convince Mrs. Park that she has tuberculosis, and the Kim mother, Chung Suk, is hired to replace her. So yeah, now the entire family works for the Parkses. Kim Woo begins a secret romantic relationship with Dae, which could cause problems later on, but we'll just have to see about that. When the Parkses leave on a camping trip, the Kims revel in the luxuries of the house. They use this as an opportunity for all of them to live in the house while they're out camping. And they're this is their moment where they think they've reached full success, and they're enjoying the fruits of their labor, if you will. Moon Gwang appears at the door, telling Chung Suk she left something in the basement. Now, at this point, there's been people with theories. There's so many theories for this movie. That's how good the movie is. and there's been things that are like, this is the start of the actual movie. Like, this is when the actual movie starts. The beginning is kind of like a prelude to introduce everyone, what their motives are, but this is like the movie. This is where shit goes down. She enters a hidden entrance to an underground bunker created by the architect and previous homeowner. I think it's like Namsung or something like that. I can't remember the guy's name. There, Moonguang's husband, Gunsei, has been secretly living for over 4 years, hiding from loan sharks. This is like the big plot twist. Oh man, it hit hard. Oh man. When you figure this out, that this guy's just been like living in shitty living conditions underground, under their house for so long. Oh man, it's insane. I don't know. Chung-suk refuses Moonguang's pleas to help Junsei remain in the bunker, but the eavesdropping Kims accidentally reveal themselves. So they're like hiding, they're like, like the movie scene where all the people are like stacked up. You know, the Penguins movie where they're all like peeking around the corner. Yeah, they all just fall down and they reveal themselves. And they reveal that everyone that has been employed there knows each other. And that's not a good thing, obviously. That's not good. Great. Sorry, I had to do a mic check real quick. Moonguang films them on her phone and threatens to expose their ruse to the Park's family. Yeah. The Parks' call to tell them they'll be returning early due to a severe rainstorm. There's been a rainstorm going all around Korea, and the streets are flooded, and yeah. The Kims scramble to clean up the home and subdue Moonguang Gunsei before the Parks arrive. Yeah. They kind of have like a battle. They trap Gunsei before the Parks arrive. Yeah, they trap Gunsei and Moonguang in the bunker down below where Gunsei has been living like for 4 fucking years. That sounds terrible. Mrs. Park reveals to Chung-suk that Desong had a seizure-inducing traumatic experience on a previous birthday when he saw a ghost. Actually, Gunsei. Like, she said he saw a ghost, and when you at first you're like, oh, it's just like a. You're just like, oh, it's just like a ghost, like a kid was just seeing things. But then they actually show like the flashback from his birthday and him seeing Gunsei in the staircase. One of the best filmed things I've ever seen. One of the best shots in movie history. That thing, that was menacing. And Gunsei looked so damn creepy. He looked like the damn boogeyman to that kid, probably. And obviously he was like sneaking upstairs to get food because he's probably starving because he can barely get up. And there's obviously so much foreshadowing with Mr. Park saying, oh, she can eat enough. She eats so much. She eats enough to feed 2 persons. Yeah, she actually feeds 2 people. That's why. He emerged from the basement at night. Ki-jung, Ki-taek, and Ki-woo hide under a table with an earshot of Mr. and Mrs. Park, who have sexual intercourse on the sofa nearby. Obviously probably very disturbing for them, but it is what it is. They had to do what they had to do. They overhear Mr. Park's comments about Ki-taek's odor, and they start to smell it. He kind of has suspicions that Ki-taek is maybe in the house, maybe he left it behind. The Kims escape and find their flat flooded with sewer water following the rainstorm and shelter in a gymnasium with other displaced people. So all these poor, like the homeless shelters and stuff like that. That's pretty much what this is, but like a temporary assignment, I guess. So yeah, they think they have all the success in the world, but when they go back to their actual house, it's literally like getting destroyed. So yeah. The next day, Mrs. Park hosts a house party for Desong's birthday with the Kim family's assistance. So they're all joining in. They're all invited because they work for the family and they need to help out and stuff. Ki-woo enters the bunker with the Scholar's Rock to find Gunsei. Yeah, the Scholar's Rock, it kind of like rests up in like an office type of thing. Finding Moonguang has died from a concussion she received during the brawl. He is attacked by a deranged Gunsei. Like, this guy is off the deep end, and I mean, he's probably had so much pent up like insanity since he's been down there. He bludgeons his head with a Scholar's Rock and escapes, leaving Kaiwu lying in a pool of blood at the entrance of the basement. Now, at first you're like, oh shit, he fucking died. He's dead. And this is right before the backyard scene happens. Probably the best scene in the entire movie. This scene and the one where Moon Guang is like coming into the house and like yelling for her husband in the basement. Those are two of the best scenes easily in this movie, and obviously Gunsei like peeking up from the stairs was great as well. Seeking to avenge Moon Guang, Junsei stabs Kijung with a kitchen knife in front of the horrified guests. Like, he doesn't care anymore. He goes out in the backyard. He goes on like a rampage. Gidisung suffers another traumatic seizure upon seeing Gunsei, the ghost, and he realizes he is real now. And a struggle breaks out until Chung-suk fatally impales Gunsei with a barbecue skewer. While Ki-taek tends to Kijung, Mr. Park orders Ki-taek to drive Sung to the hospital. And he's kind of like angered about this because he's like, and obviously the Parks don't know that this is his family right here. And he's kind of like angered. There's like emotion that pours out from him. It all seems like kind of a blur to Ki-taek. In the chaos, Ki-taek, upon seeing Mr. Park's disgusted reaction to Gunsei's odor, angrily murders him with the knife. So you realize that at this point there are some kind of parallels between Gunsei and Ki-taek. He's like, what's that smell? He's like complaining about it, and all of a sudden, Ki-taek just takes his anger out on him. All this time, he's been kind of like bullying him and like embarrassing, humiliating him for his smell. Ki-taek flees, leaving the rest of the Kim family behind. We don't know where he goes until a little later in the movie. Weeks later, Ki-woo is suffering from a brain operation, so he ends up living from getting hit in the head from the rock. He and Chung-suk are convicted of fraud and put on probation, so they kind of get let off easily. Kijung has died from her injuries, and Ki-taek, wanted by the authorities, cannot be found. We're still not sure up to this point in the movie, where is Ki-taek? Gunsei is assumed to be an insane homeless man, and neither his nor Ki-taek's motive for the murders are known. He's not a fucking homeless man. He didn't just burst into the party randomly. He's been living in that house this whole fucking time, and I can't believe the Parks just never found out. They never went down to that area. Well, I guess it was like a secret place they probably don't even know about, because, Gunsei and Moon Guang, they knew of like the architectural work that lived in the house before. They knew about this house more than anyone else did, so they used that as an opportunity to hide the husband in the house, right? Ki-woo spies on the Parks' home, now occupied by a German family, unaware of its history, and sees a message in Morse code from a flickering light. Ki-taek, who escaped into the bunker, has buried Moon Guang in the garden and sends the message every day, hoping Ki-woo will see it. So he stops by the house every day, Still living in their basement flat with his mother, Ki-woo writes a letter to Ki-taek, vowing to earn enough money to purchase the house, reunite with his dad. And there was kind of some interesting points raised in like a Reddit thread I saw. It was like his father said, don't plan anything, because if you plan something, it's not going to go right. And he plans to buy the house and reunite with his dad, like that's his plan. And given what his father said earlier in the movie, it's probably never going to happen, which is like the sad thing you're kind of stuck with as the credits roll in. Oh man, this movie's awesome. I'm telling you, this movie is fantastic, man. But let's look at the critical reception. Because wow, this is a very critically acclaimed movie. This movie's awesome. 99%, 474 reviews, 9.4 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, Rotten Tomatoes has given some bad reviews in the past, but they love this movie, right? An urgent, brilliantly layered look at timely social themes, Parasite finds writer-director Bong Joon-ho in near total command of his craft. He's been directing for years, so he masters this, and he puts out a fantastic piece of work. 52 compiled reviewers on Metacritic were identified as positive, weighted average of 9.6 out of 10. Universal acclaim. People loved this movie. Parasite was rated as the best film of 2019. On Metacritic, was ranked 7th among the films with the highest scores of the decade. This is probably the best movie that has came out in the last 5 years. I'm not even joking. This movie is really fucking good. It really is. It is the 48th highest rated film of all time on Metacritic. It's literally a top 50 movie of all time. And this might be in my top 50 of all time. This movie is great. Maybe way down in the future I can make a list for you guys. The film is wildly entertaining, the kind of smart, generous, aesthetically energized movie that obliterates the tired distinctions between art films and popcorn movies. And this is kind of like, and people in Hollywood were kind of like ridiculing this movie, but this movie was almost a shot at those same people, you know. Parasite is a work that is itself in a state of constant agitated transformation, a nerve-wracking masterpiece whose spell lingers long after its haunting final image. Time Out gave it a 5-star. You know, the social commentary in the film was great. The overall work was surprising, fully gripping from beginning to end, full of big bangs and small wonders. It's a wild, wild ride. Bong is back and on brilliant form, but he is unmistakably roaringly furious, and it registers because the target is so deserving, so enormous, so 2019. Parasite is a tick fat with the bitter blood of class rage. Yeah, it probably is the best film of 2019. I can't think of a film that came out in 2019 that is better than this film. It's great. It's kind of following a theme of class consciousness to be it was kind of consistent with the director's previous Snowpiercer movie, so he kind of talks about this a lot. The theme of social ascent or social difference as a landscape could hardly be more obvious, but we are beginning to get the movie's idea not to avoid stereotypes, but to keep crashing into them. It got an A on the Shiznit, which is a weird website, but it makes you wonder what the inflection point for such behavior is in a culture where manners and servitude are drilled into those who can't afford not to have them. A- on the AV Club. The fun, the surprising twists of the movie were all a great time. Let's see. Yeah, it is one of the best. It probably is the best movie to come out of the year. I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, I'm just gonna probably watch Dexter. Probably watch Breaking Bad after this. But yeah. It's been GZTV. Hopefully you enjoyed. This movie's a damn masterpiece. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Bong Joon-ho is fantastic. His direction, his messages are messages a lot of people can get behind, and that's what makes his movie so good. We can all understand where he's coming from with this. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, GZTV giving you guys the best movie content out there. I am out. I'm gonna get going with watching my shows. I'm kind of late on that, but we have NBA recap coming out later tonight. There's like 6 games on tonight. I don't know how much I'm going to watch of the games. I'm going to go to the gym later tonight, but I'll try to watch as many NBA games as I can. So yeah, again,